Welcome, friends. Look at my funky, cool sunglasses today. We are streaming live. It's Gen X News. We are live on Rumble, X, and my YouTube, and Jer Niish's YouTube. So, welcome, everybody. I just want to let you guys know before we start talking all of the Loosh and the World War III and end of days. I got some websites for you guys to visit. If you want to support my show, get all subscribed, go to genxonx.com. That is where all my links are to all the live streams, the audio podcast, my Substack, and tons of things. And fortunately, Jer let me know there was a typo on there, and I fixed that typo for you guys. If you want to check out Jer's show, everythingisdemons.com. Go to everythingisdemons.com. And of course, if you want to check out Niish's amazing podcast, thecosmicsalon.com. Go to thecosmicsalon.com. How you guys doing? Are we here?
We're here.
We're here.
I was muted. I'm sorry. We're here.
It's okay. I was like, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone here for a second.
We're all in the Twilight Zone. Jerry and I just got up from a nap.
Yes.
And we're running off of the wheels of Jerry's birthday last month.
Yes.
From Vegas.
Thank
y'all.
you. Thank you. I'm now officially 60 years old. That's fucking scary. Yeah.
And Vegas sick.
I was. I am much better now.
What happened in Vegas did not stay in Vegas.
No, everybody got sick. As far as I know, everyone got the sickness.
The Vegas
and you bring it from Vegas. All right. That's crazy.
The last I was there a day longer than most people. I stayed till Monday, the 24th.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry wanted that happy ending.
Yeah, it didn't happen. I was literally in bed for 2 days straight. I did not leave my room. I went down to there was a Chick-fil-A in our hotel.
Whoa, look at this stuff, guys.
Oh, very cool.
Wow, we're
I got to center myself here. I don't know.
I don't know. Let me see. I'm switching it up for us.
That's better.
Yeah, that's you can see. You guys
anyway, I was in bed all day for
I'm gonna put my sunglasses
for like Saturday night and Sunday, so I missed a lot of the fun people had. But
these are my Loosh control. So I don't Loosh.
They're Loosh blockers. They're like blue blockers, better.
They're gorgeous.
They block that etheric blue light.
Look at you. Oh my goodness.
Bug-eyed.
Bug-eyed. So glam. High glam. 80s.
Hey, there's going to be a lot of people listening. And I put the word Loosh, and I know they're not going to know what the hell I'm talking about. What am I talking about when I say Loosh?
Our viewers know.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, Jer, why don't you bring us into the education of Loosh?
Well, I am no expert on this, but what I do know is that the term Loosh was coined, I believe, by Robert Monroe of the Monroe Institute. He's a very famous out-of-body / astral traveler type of guy. He invented not gateway, he invented the hemisync technology, which was then used to develop the gateway protocols by the CIA.
Yes. Thank you.
He worked very closely with the CIA. In my head, I really connect him a lot with Montauk and what they were doing there at Camp Hero, with getting computers hooked up to psychics and all that shit. But Loosh is this energy. It's an energy that is not measurable, obviously, that is the food of the archons, if you will, if you look at it from a Gnostic perspective.
And it's produced by humans through trauma.
Through emotion, not necessarily trauma. It's both. It's excitement and trauma.
Yeah, but we know the elites like the trauma stuff, man.
Do you ever see Monsters, Inc.?
Uh-huh.
Monsters, Inc. is a perfect description of what Loosh is. The monsters would scare the children, and remember, they would collect all that energy, and it powered their realm. That is what Loosh is.
It's kind of like adrenalized energy.
Yeah.
Because it's a worked up energy. So the screams of the kids in Monster Inc. is what they use. But they use the screams because the little kids are scared. So it's
Right.
adrenaline in a way. It's almost like the etheric version of adrenochrome, but without the actual tangibility of the liquid itself.
For all we know, it could be the energetic representation of adrenochrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you know what movie, when I saw it, that made me kind of shiver? It's much more terrifying than Monsters Inc. was Doctor Sleep. I don't know if y'all saw that one.
Yes.
I got about
Perfect
halfway
for
That
The
through it.
Shining. Stephen
freaked me
King.
out. I was like,
Yeah.
they know. They know.
Well, that's Stephen King all the way, and
And he's a
it
demon.
is. Well, Stevens sits at the table. That's for sure. And I think that they just didn't do that book right, as usual. But whereas they did The Shining
Your
right.
cat's giving
Yeah.
off some loosh
I'm
tonight.
sorry. When I talk out loud, she comes and talks. So
So we're getting loosh. We're getting looshed.
beat it, beat it, cat.
Feline loosh.
She just wants attention.
So it's like energy.
Oh.
It is just, it's energy that emanates off, but there's a lot of different ways in which you can see that out in the cultish world.
Absolutely.
So like the psychic vampires, it is like
Mhm.
life force that they
Yep.
feed upon. And so, and then, the one and only, the gross and only, oops, did I say that? I should give some pause here and a lot of words before I say his name. David, is it David Wilcock?
Oh.
Who uses
Yeah.
overused the word
Yes.
loosh a lot.
Yeah.
And so
Built
a
his
lot of
reputation on it.
Yeah, so a lot of people will associate it with him, but again, Jerry had the origin there.
It's really interesting when you're looking at this stuff, because as soon as I realized that, now I put World War III in the title, because obviously this is where I don't think we're necessarily headed, but this is where they want us to be headed. And I'm always like, I wonder if all of this stuff, because they're always triggering us and our energy and our attention, they're always trying to get us to give their energy. And obviously, with the internet and everything that's going on, they obviously need our attention and our energy and to control the narrative. And they obviously need us to help fuel these events. And these events, I mean, they actually physically fund them financially. They create more revenue, but they also, I'm assuming there's some tie between Loosh and wars and trauma and everything we're going through right now.
It's a form of human sacrifice. I remember hearing a story. I don't remember who said this, so I apologize. But it's always stuck with me that this whoever it was talking about how the aliens, whatever, whatever is harvesting the loosh, right? Would hover above battlefields and suck up all that energy as the people died. In their quote unquote invisible spaceships. I have no idea if that's true, but that's how I could imagine it being true. You know what I mean? They're having these battles, they're killing each other. There's tons of death, tons of emotion, tons of trauma. And it would just be a ripe place to pull energy out of. I've heard the same thing for like boxing matches and UFC fights. There's so much energy in those arenas that these entities just glom onto that.
I think that's why I can't stand being around people. Like, I can't even go to work and be at the customer service desk because there's too much gossip and crazy and all this stuff. I'm like, can I just go to the garden center? I'll work out there today. I'll go do this. I can't do this job around you people because I can almost feel all the, I don't know. I just don't like being around large amount of people. I just feel like you lose yourself in these massive crowds and you're not yourself anymore.
I'm sensitive like that too. And is my volume better, by the way?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it.
Sheila said it, or Jonathan said it was low.
I turn it up as high as it goes on my end. But anyway,
Here,
I'm sensitive
turn up
like
your volume
that
a bit.
too. Thank you, Melissa. I'm sensitive like that too, but you're empathic as well. And I think that actually really, I don't care what people say, it really is a thing, and it really does affect us. And those of us that are sensitive to those energetics feel it. And I get overwhelmed in very large crowds as well. And one of the things I had learned through one of the many cults that I explored was that you're supposed to just go ahead and suck up that energy yourself if you're becoming overwhelmed by
Yep.
it. So, there's a whole
So what
bunch
do you
of
mean? What do you mean suck it up? Like you absorb, how do you absorb it? Like what's this process?
you
So
like
was it effective?
literally breathe it it's like a tantric breath.
Yes.
So you breathe it in, and stay with me here. You breathe it in and you tighten your sphincter.
Diaphragm.
You tighten your asshole.
Oh, that's
As you're
I knew what sphincter was. That's why I was like, hey, I heard if you do that, if you're taking a lie detector test and you tighten your butthole muscles, you can lie and pass it. That's what I heard.
and
serious.
then you exhale, and then you breathe it in again, and you take it in, but you have to do that same movement together. And that's a way to absorb and transmute that energy
So
in.
Sheila's saying absorb, transmute, and release.
Yes. And so, and because like in those big arenas or big crowds, and it's not specific to one person, it is the overrunning of all that energy. And so, like anything, like blood in the water, you will attract a whole bunch of things. And so those things are there too. But for people that are super sensitive to it and feel kind of preyed upon by it, you too can turn that. However, I still don't like being in those big spaces. And
I am. Yeah, I just feel like it doesn't like I just feel like in order like there's some people who like to create in groups. I don't. I like to be on my own. I feel like groups like kill it for me. Just
I'm down with the small, like I like having like a person or a couple people like this. You know what I'm saying? I'm good like this. I don't like being a solo person as far as when I'm being creative is in in what we're doing. I prefer to have a co-host. I prefer to have someone on to talk with me as opposed to getting on and carrying on, just
I can do both that
pontificating.
way.
Yeah,
But like
you're
for
good
me,
like that.
I like to create things, and then I like to come like with graphic design. You create your stuff, and then I like to bring it. I don't mind bringing it to a group to have it criticized, so I could then go back and do it better. But I don't like people watching me while I'm actually doing some kind of process. Like I wouldn't want somebody watching me as I prepped for this podcast and gathered all my information. That's part of the creative process for me. I wouldn't want people there watching me do it too much. I'd be like, go, shush.
I don't like being watched. I think that I've made that obvious over these years. I really like blending in. I've got a mentality for radio.
Yes. Well, I'm going to play this video here that I popped up about Robert Monroe, who coined the term Loosh originally. And it's just about him and unlocking the power within. So I don't know, maybe this will help me if it will play.
He introduced the term Loosh to describe a type of energy generated by living beings and documented his findings through the Gateway Tapes, a series of audio recordings that guide listeners into altered states of consciousness. These tapes utilize specific sound frequencies to synchronize brainwaves, helping individuals explore the realms beyond physical reality. Understanding Monroe's work is deeply intertwined with the concept of brain hemisphere synchronization. Our right brain, often underutilized, is the seat of creativity, intuition, and spiritual awareness. By engaging this hemisphere more fully, we can unlock incredible potential, enhancing our ability to visualize and create, improving our intuitive insights, and fostering deeper spiritual connections. Today we'll cover the essence of Monroe's contributions and emphasize the importance of balancing our brain hemispheres for profound personal growth and expanded consciousness. Let's dive in. Now, the
We're gonna
gateway
dive in.
process, you see, is a profound technique devised to expand our consciousness, to propel us beyond the mundane boundaries of our everyday reality. This document, this analysis, dives deep into the very fabric of what it means to be conscious, what it means to exist in this vast, interconnected web we call the universe. At the heart of the exploration lies the concept of hemispheric synchronization. Imagine, if you will, the brain as a vast, complex orchestra. Each hemisphere, the left and the right, plays its own tune, its own melody. Yet the gateway process seeks to synchronize these hemispheres, to bring them into harmony. For those who aren't familiar,
Okay, so that was just a little intro to that. And I'm wondering, like, we've already talked. I mean, Jer said, and my husband says, and I don't want to offend anyone in my audience because I know many of you are good Christian people, but a lot of times these religious try to control a lot of things and put us in this fear. And I don't know. I just think that it's just interesting, all the stuff we're going through, and it almost feels like the more people we have on the planet, the more it's easy to confuse everyone and get them, mixed up. Just like the bigger companies we have, the more it's easier for people to steal and get away with stuff because there's so many people. And I just feel like that's how they kind of do it. That's how they trick people into these wars. There's just too many moving pieces. There's just too much energy.
And there's no way for us to verify how many people are actually on the planet. We have to just trust that there are 8 billion people.
Trust the plan.
Trust the plan. I mean, for all we know, there could be 100 million people on the planet. We don't know.
We really don't know. And that's something I always thought was funny, is that, again, another thing that there's no real absolute or solid number on, and we have to go on what we're told. And then the thing is, there's a lot of people that manipulate the idea of that. Oh, it's too many. When I was growing up, it was too many. We're overpopulated. My God, what are we going to do in 20 years?
It's being used to push the climate scam. And
yeah. And then so now, now it's like, well, now everybody needs to breed. And I mean, it's just, it's so insane that this layer cake of lies that continues to be served to us at all levels of our collective lives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was young, it was the ozone layer, and we were going to fry to death.
Oh yeah,
they really terrorized us with that
holes in the
ozone
ozone. Yeah,
yeah.
It was from
I went
Aquanet.
home. Yeah, I would go home in grade 5 crying because I thought we were going to fry to death.
Well, they did.
My grandmother just told me to stop listening to them.
We had to hide under our desks.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. Well,
bombs.
this is how they weaponize, like, say someone like Greta, right? They weaponized her, gave her a platform, and because of the way globalization has, and I hate to use the word globalization, but the way it has worked, that the whole world, and you give a platform, you push everything at it, and then you've got this monster Greta, and then we have the Green New Deal and the green this and the smart that, and everything's pushing towards a perceived agenda through fear. And then that, of course, has created a loosh fest in and of itself. And in this whole big wheel keep on turning situation is happening, and here we are. Ash Wednesday in the parent year of 2025.
Hash Wednesday.
Oh, it is Ash Wednesday.
Did you see Michelle Wu today on in the congressional hearings with the ashes on her forehead?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't. I saw the thing last night, though. The State of the Union.
Yes.
The non-State of the Union, State of the Union.
Yeah. Which was
hilarious.
I'm sorry, but the theater lately has been good.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's been good theater. It has, and
better entertainment than Disney's putting out. That's for sure.
Oh my God, it's so good.
That's what That's why I stream it, because people show up and watch.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this is this is high value entertainment, and talk about Loosh.
Yeah.
That's a Loosh fest.
Oh, what huge.
Well, it's interesting. How do you guys feel about all this stuff that's going down with Zelensky and the European Union? It feels like we're going through a transformation, to be quite honest, with who's ruling. We're realizing who's ruling the world, and it's not Europe. Like there's something very strange going on here.
Well,
Energy.
didn't that? I want your opinion on this, both of you, because to me, when I saw the Zelensky White House thing with JD Vance and all that,
Mhm.
that was new for, I think that should be new for everyone to see something like that. That was brand new, and it had this very like lights, camera, action quality to
Yeah.
it. It had a very
Mhm.
staged feel to it for me. So it felt very flimsily put together, like to be natural. So it looked
Right.
very staged to me, and it was is a Loosh fest, of course, but then I guess now everyone got what they wanted because Zelensky wrote the letter saying, "I'll do whatever you
It's because
want."
he's a little bitch.
What
Well, I
position,
think
baby?
honestly, I think it depends if he's just taken the cocaine or he's coming down off the cocaine. Like how he's going to
That's
behave. Honest to God, he's such a
Cocaine,
crackhead.
alleged.
cocaine.
We don't know that he is.
Yo, no, he is.
He acts like it.
Well, he does
Why do you
give
think
us
there
the
was so much
cues.
cocaine? Why do you think there's so much cocaine in the White House? Why do you think he loved coming to talk to Biden? He got billions of dollars, and Hunter was in the White House with cocaine.
Because they
He
all
got a
sucked his
bump,
dick.
you know, a bump for the road, a bump to get through the night. So,
Look how
but
the world leaders, aside from Trump and Vance, have treated Zelensky as some kind of hero.
almost
And he,
canonized. Yeah.
yes,
Come on now, he's Churchill. Don't you know?
no, he's not.
That's
Oh
what they
my
want.
God.
He's
That's what
he's a
you're going
failed
for,
actor
though.
who is basically acting authoritarian. He halted elections to
I
stay in
realize
power.
that.
He's killed. He's responsible for the death of over 1 million Ukrainians for no reason whatsoever.
Mhm.
Putin has no plans, and I'm not apologizing for Putin or saying, we should not have gotten involved in this conflict. Period.
I
They are
agree.
not our
Yeah.
ally. They are not a NATO nation. We have no skin in this game.
But look
And
how deeply we did get involved.
well, that's because of Biden.
Mhm.
Right. And I'm not saying he
And this
is
decline.
Churchill. I'm saying that's how they're trying to present
Of
him.
course, he's protecting whatever. It's all lies. It's all lies. This whole America Last thing started with Obama, where actually kind of started with Clinton.
I
But
was going to say Clinton did a little bit of this stuff.
yeah, I
too.
mean, it kind of started with NAFTA and went downhill from there. That they felt that they needed to dethrone America as the superpower of the world. And as a result of that, we play second fiddle to the EU. And they're nowhere near us as an economy. In fact, if the EU exists in 10 years, I will be surprised as
Yeah.
it stands today.
Well, here's the problem. I mean, the CIA created the EU in the
Well,
first place.
they
They
had
were
a
really
hand in it.
responsible for that. But here's the problem: is the EU is fake. That it's like bureaucrat run, and they
Yeah,
don't have a
it's
foreign policy. It's always
communist.
been what NATO does, and it's been American foreign policy essentially. So if we're pulling out, they're scrabbling.
Well,
And that's why they're all coming here and trying to convince Trump to get involved, because they don't need to go into Moscow and destroy it. They just need to create enough chaos so they can depose Putin and get somebody in. That's what they want to do.
They want regime change, but they're not going to get it. Putin's
I know
terribly
they're not
popular.
going to. I know they're not going to, but that's what they have in their brains. Their little greedy lizard,
retarded.
Loosh producing brains.
I mean,
That's
all you have to do is listen to him talk, and you could say, "Oh, you are a mid IQ, you're a mid intelligence person. You have no idea what you're doing."
Well, they're all inbred. They're all
But-
inbred.
for the most part. I mean, whatever. I can't stand the EU. I look at it more as the Fourth Reich than
Yeah.
anything else.
I'm
They
with
were
you,
like,
Jer.
let's go with Hitler's plan. Hitler never died. Here
I
we
mean,
are.
there are a lot of Nazis that planned the EU.
It's a true story.
Yeah. I
But so
mean,
that's
same with the
what's
UN.
but and this is how things are. That's what's making this theater interesting right now.
Yes.
It's really gotten shaken up, and
Thank
there's a
God.
lot of interesting optics to look at.
Very
And
much
I
so.
find it very interesting if if we just buy into it and we play it by the numbers. The stuff that Elon is Doge department is exposing, if we just look at those numbers and we assume everything is as it is, and we park ourselves and just assume it all is, and the stuff that Mr. Trump read last night, this is abhorrent, it's appalling, it's not surprising. But the thing that is interesting is that the Democrat side, now remember, I don't identify, just like everything, I'm not identifying as anything, not even a chip
You're
anymore.
just
So,
analyzing.
so, but they didn't even like somehow that's all kosher. Like it's okay to spend whatever, however many billions on transgenders in nowhere
Mice.
stand, nowhere stand
We
somewhere,
want to make
and
mice trannies.
right, and like all that crazy amount of money that was being misplaced, and then they're using this idea that everyone's going to lose Social Security, etc.
No, it's all
When
lies.
yeah, when they have made it very, very clear nobody's losing Social Security, and if anything, people will be gaining more from this than
Correct.
losing. They were losing.
Hmm.
And this is the thing that I consistently find myself up against is people very afraid of losing their benefits. And I think all you need to do is they're posting all this stuff. Everything they're doing right now, they're posting. So you can go directly to the
Transparency.
source. Like you always could, though. You always could go to .gov, whitehouse.gov, and see this stuff, but they've made it even easier now. And you can see what's being exposed. You can see where they're cutting and the game plan. So there shouldn't be a lot of, I guess, fear around the actual stuff that's happening. You may not like that actual stuff, but until we see something that differs from that plan that they're presenting, I don't think you should fear if you have Social Security. I really, for the life of me, don't think that this administration is going to dump the elders. The administration itself is elders,
In
and and
fact,
the Democrats really showed themselves to be the big money grubbing
yeah.
billionaires through this whole last
Mm-hmm.
process.
Well,
And that is they're projecting out
Yes.
everything
they're
that they
rot.
right. And so it's just this like crazy loosh fest where people aren't actually looking at the source material. They're going through the channels, the gatekeepers of this information. A lot of that are these senators and these political players, and then that's getting filtered through the mouthpiece, which is the media, and then refiltered through influencers and podcasters, etc. So it's like telephone in a weird way.
Yes. And I got a few things I want to say here, so sorry if it takes a long time. But number
Did
one,
you
Trump
see?
actually.
Did you see that that
Did you
video
just
that
like?
they all put out at once?
Yes, I did.
Okay, go
It's
ahead.
creepy. It was
Yes.
creepy.
Yes.
Trump is interestingly announced that they're going to go for no taxes on seniors anyways and retired people. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. The other thing I keep saying, and people don't watch for this, and you need to watch for this for anyone, including Donald Trump, is, and I learned this when I was in graphic design, is You know, I talk about the brand identity that companies create. Anyone can create. They create their brand identity and they attach. It's not just a logo, or I call it sigil. It's why I don't like wearing people's brands anymore on me all over, because I think it's like a mat, like I'm being stamped like a cow.
Yes.
And ownership and sigils, and there's things, but when you're creating that brand identity, what you're creating is this whole emotion. You're creating all this stuff. You're attaching colors and feelings and songs, and you know, whether it's luxurious, you're creating all this stuff, and
All the
you are doing
preconceived
this
notions about
right.
that
But
symbol.
you're
Yes.
you're doing it so that people attach themselves emotionally to you, right? And I tell people, I'm like, that is what they've created. It's like magic. It's right there, right out in front of you. What you have to stop and realize is what's behind that in reality. Let's take Coca-Cola, for instance, just for an example. Coca-Cola, they, you know, I like to hear the world sing and all this emotional stuff, and it's this great pop and it's fun and la la la, and all that stuff, and they have the brand and people attach to that brand for whatever emotional reason. It tastes good. I like to drink Coke Zero every once in a while. But behind that is what? Diabetes, teeth bad, poor work conditions. You know, there's a truth behind everything that no one will ever. We're so shallow, we don't scratch beneath the surface because we don't actually understand that brand identity, logos, all this stuff is linked up to propaganda. It's linked up to all this stuff, and it's literally magic. It's a type of magic, in my opinion. It's why I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't wear people's logos. Maybe I shouldn't buy Candace's Owens merch. Like, it's getting retarded. That everybody's got merch, everybody's got this stuff. They want you to brand you're like they're little cows. It's really weird. And I explain the difference between the forward brand and the energy and all the like I think they're performing magic, and then the difference between what is behind that. And you can see the Democrats, what's behind their retarded signs and their slogans of I'm with her and I'm with trans and I'm for freedom and I'm for democracy. It's
It's all
rotten shit.
vibes.
But some people can't see it. Some people can't feel it. They just go with this shallow thing. And I think that's what makes the difference with us is we're like, there's something beneath that. I know it. I can feel it. Silence.
Well, this is
Yes.
how the field changed. So with that, so let's go with that.
Mhm.
When the cabinet and the new administration came in and we got the Doge department, right? So we all know that Doge is a crypto, and you know Shiba was part of it, the dog cryptos, and this expanded further into that idea and that kind of mechanism of some sort of, if we're going to go with the magic here, this kind of modern day chaos magic that's happening. And the thing that concerns me, and this is where I'm looking at it going, oh man, is that what we're doing, despite all the stuff I think that is actually really kind of awesome that's happening, the expose
Mhm.
of these monsters and how much they're making and how much they've been making, and the filthy habits they have, the dirty deeds they've been doing. That stuff's awesome. We've all wanted that expose. Well, that stuff's
Mhm.
happening, and they have kept that promise so far. One could nitpick that there's, you know, all the redacted stuff on some of the files coming out, but they have given us a lot to chew on in 1 month, so let's not forget about that. But the thing that has me deeply concerned is the movement deeper into the digital realm. And this takes us deeper into the chaos magic of crypto, of this new world, this new reset, if you want to call it that, that we're moving into. And the fact that they did call that department the Doge department is part of this tie-in. It's like a seamlessly crocheted loop or knitted pearl into this
It's
bigger thing they're weaving.
mimetic magic is what it is.
It is. And that's what has me concerned at the end of the day here, more so than anything else. I feel like that this administration is really going to be the one that heralds us into whatever this new age is. And the new age is digital. The new age is here, and it's happening, and it's unfolding, and really it's already underwritten and scaffolded up. It's just getting everyone on board, like when they did credit cards.
In
Yeah.
a lot of ways, I am viewing what's going on today as a shift in the ages, if you will. I don't want to say it's the Kali Yuga ending or anything like that. I have no idea when those kind of things are, but the old magics of the old guard no longer work on the public for whatever reason.
Right.
And what seems to be working now to me is more the mimetic stuff, the more intelligent, smart type of content. I don't even know what to call it. It's really hard to describe what I'm thinking, but you know what I mean? The it's like, people talk about the Babylonian money magic system, right?
Yes.
And that whole concept. That those types of systems no longer work. Human consciousness has evolved to a point where that kind of shit doesn't work on us anymore. And people have snapped out of it. So what is working is this new, what I'm calling mimetic magic. It's a new form, a new age. It's a new era of control, but with a different methodology. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And the thing to remember is that all this stuff that is coming online now, that's over the horizon that we're seeing, it is actually not meant for us. It's meant for all the new ones. It
Correct.
is the new stuff. So we can whine and moan and call uncle on it all day long, but they don't care. It's not meant for us. And they know it. And everything that's happening is kind of, you know, the big attack has been on 40
Gen Z.
30 33 years of age and older, but mostly 40 and older, millennials and older, because we have a
We
memory.
remember.
Yeah. And so it's not for us, and they don't care. That's
Correct.
why it's long legs. So it's not very long legs. It doesn't have to. It's 13 years is basically a generation. And what do? We just Pluto just pulled into Aquarius. We are moving into a new generation.
Yes.
Because Pluto defines the generations.
Yep. And we just finished our
Interesting.
Pluto return, or we're coming out of the Pluto return of the United States.
Yes. It's a
When-
big deal.
Very big deal. That's when Pluto
Huge.
return is basically when everything that was hidden is revealed. That's
And what
kind
have
of
we been
it's just-
seeing?
Exactly. Truth.
Revelation.
Yes.
So it's a big
Interesting.
movement.
There's
and
a lot of cycles that are all hitting right now, and it's going to be intense over the next 4 to 6 years.
Yep, exactly. And that's
Us-
a reason why they set target dates.
You know what?
So that we would have that nomadic magic in our mind.
I'm just going to live to 120 despite these efforts and just keep fighting. That's what
Well,
I'm
if you
gonna
can live
do.
to 350, you can collect Social Security.
That's right. That's right. Well, okay, so the deep woo in me and the high strange in me was like, what if there
Vampires.
really are those people?
Yeah.
Like that 350 was so funny when Trump's like, that's older than the United States, like
It's the Anunnaki.
I like when he turned to Bobby. He's Bobby. We're healthier than I thought.
I know.
I know.
It was so many good one-liners.
Oh, I know.
So that's the thing, like the high woo there for me was like, whoa, I could take that and run and play with it in a playful way. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day there, it's appalling. And another thing that I just felt was just sour is whether we liked him, whether you liked him or not, but people who didn't like him, and I'm one of the people, I just not enjoying his movies in the past, and I certainly didn't enjoy his role as Biden the president. we suffered through that epic.
Oh, we're
And
talking about Biden?
right now we are, and we suffered through that, and we didn't get crazy, and we didn't get belligerent in these ways. And his State of the Union just were absurd, because it was like, what you needed to
Do you remember the one where
we
he
needed translation on every
Yeah.
level,
But do you
not
remember
just
the speech he gave where he was on stage pretty much like Hitler, dividing the country and calling us
Yeah.
like evil?
He
That's
was
what he
it was
did.
very
it was
divisive president.
high theater. But see, my point here is that when he was running the show, when he was the main man, the people on the right were not thrilled, obviously, and yet they maintained decorum. And when there were stories of hardship that were revealed, because they always do that, the people on the right also gave sympathy. So last night, when we're hearing these terrible atrocities from these people that had their lives changed by these gang members, and all the sad stories
Cancer.
that they always bring, those people that known as the Democrats couldn't show an ounce of
Cold.
sympathy. They were unsympathetic. This was the optics were so terrible on this. And to me, after having suffered through their guy,
Well, they
and
were the
being
cause of it all.
but at least it showed you where they really sit when it comes to human suffering. They will use those children for their higher purpose of getting what they want. But when it comes to actually needing to see some sympathy and human connection and human emotion, they were devoid of it.
Yeah. They're evil. It was quite the contrast to see how cold. And they even flashed to one of the faces of the women. She was an ugly old bag, but she was scowling, and they were talking about a woman literally husband dying or something. Someone was murdered by a gang or something.
That blue hair
And she
lady
literally had a scowl, and I'm like, wow, come on.
It was terrible.
You're talking about that blue hair? I don't know.
No,
There were
it wasn't the purple
several.
head lady. She was one of them.
She's like a troll doll.
I cracked and said, "Oh, look, everybody, it's a purple monster under your bed." No, wait, that's just a woke Democrat.
So
Someone said she looked like she was from Harry Potter.
It was, I'm all right with that. And and at the end of the day, though, show some decorum, show some respect for people that have had, whether you think it's theater or not. This is still the moment when you go, I feel completely upset for this woman whose daughter got raped and murdered, and the guy was released 6 times, and then like these stories, and you're sitting there, and there's the mother and the sisters, and these hideous stories, and these monsters were just devoid of any emotional content at all. And I think that this is a very telling thing. And again, where is your connection to the Most High? And I don't care what religion you want to tap into that, where's your Christianity at that moment? Where's your sympathy for the suffering? Everyone wants to use the suffering of kids. Well, there were several examples, and because it was done by illegal immigrants, by gang members, the left were still putting up their things saying fake, or illegals are people too, or whatever the hell they were having with their things.
Well,
somebody actually called Elon Musk a thief.
I know.
Oh, they had those little gay signs.
The paddles.
Yeah.
Little black
Musk
signs.
steals. Like, what is he stealing? What are you talking about? All they had.
Oh, well, it's better than them who steals people's souls.
So I just, so everybody knows, I was a lifetime Democrat my whole life. I voted Democrat, straight ticket, my whole life. I'm from Chicago. I voted for Obama and everything.
That explains it.
The party left me. My views have not changed. Anyway, so That all
Yeah.
being said,
Right. That's the thing. Our views did not change.
right,
The compass around us did.
correct. What I was going to say though is that the Democrats have become like this party of sloganeering. All they have are
That's what I mean.
statements with no facts to back it up, and when you push
And
them
no
on it,
depth.
well, obviously, but when you push them on it, they walk away.
Yeah.
I can't have this conversation with you unless they're in a comfortable echo chamber like
Mhm.
MSNBC or CNN or whatever, where they get their confirmation bias pointed back at them. You know, they always hear the things that they agree with, and they never get any kind of pushback. The minute you give them pushback, it's like, well, we're done. You know, you're wrong, and we're done. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I thought they acted very petty. I've so many people have said petulant children today. I just didn't want to repeat that because yes, it's
They,
true, but
yeah.
it's
No,
been overused.
they looked like they were rotten. Like there was this nasty demon coming out, this scowly, rotten, rancid old what they truly are. That's what they
They
look like to
acted
me.
like that because they dislike a single man.
Yeah.
They
I'm
probably
It
don't
is. Well,
disagree
now it's
with
two. It's Elon and it's Batman and Robin.
and
well,
Vance.
and the gravy train's cut, right? A lot
That
of their
also,
money is being
which
cut.
is really interesting because the Democrats allegedly, quote unquote, organized all these anti Elon protests and nobody showed
Mhm.
up. You
Well,
know,
the whole what Jerry? What about the blockade where Trump had the fake blockade that went through the Antifa thing, but and then he had the real pulling up. They pulled one on the Antifa people. Did you know that?
no, I didn't. I don't know about this. I
Yeah,
don't know what
there
that
was
means.
a fake there was a fake presidential roll-in, right? And there were Antifa people there to
Oh.
protest it, and Trump had plan B, which was pull up in the back. You know, it was hilarious. And there's really the footage isn't that great, but I saw it. The thing is though, this has been they needed the last administration to get to do what they're going to do here because now
Right.
we're looking at the solution here, and the solution
We
is
had to
you've
go
got
through
to
some loosh.
No, no.
you've
What was the globalists were winning, and
yeah.
Trump has derailed that. So
But it's a weird it's there's a weird setup here, and I think the ultimate solution is it does need to be overhauled, everything. And I think what's being exposed, who's being exposed, and the way things are being exposed is part of how this is trying to right itself. The problem and the place where I'm concerned is the intersection between how deep into AI systems are we going to go, because we're pretty deep now, and I'm personally one of these people that for decades has been concerned about
see,
this. So
that's what I was talking to you about.
that's going to be where my point of
So, do you think this
concern is.
AI, do you think that the Europe, because the European Union's trying to scramble, they're trying to organize and rearm themselves, stuff. They're talking about it. I was watching it the other night. And do you think AI is going to really come into this whole element with World War III? I mean, the Pope's almost dead. And he's supposed to be the last pope. There's like in that Peter Basilica, there's one more frame, and then there's the predictions say 2027. All
Yeah.
this stuff's going, all this weird stuff's coming, and I'm like, how is AI? You know, because AI in of itself, like Jer was saying, isn't necessarily the problem. It's the laziness of the people to allow it to take control, or the corrupt people who will use it. So I wonder if this plays into this war and all this stuff with the European Union if they go like crazy mad scientists.
Well, I'm one of these people that I think this has all worked hand in hand. So I still think that I don't think what this current administration is doing is I think it's part of this bigger plan to get us deeper into this system that is bigger than all these parts that look like they're separate, all the countries, and that the Biden administration was making the setup so that the Trump administration can come in and do what it's going to be doing.
Problem, reaction, solution.
It's Hegelian all the way, and they needed that to get to where they're going to take this. So I do think it's all woven together, and I think that the ancient AI, which I've been talking about for effing decades, which is not actually digital, but it is an intelligence that needs the gold of the human consciousness, which I think there's a lot of. I can put the case together for this, and I have been putting the case together for this,
Mhm.
that is creating and is working with the digital AI systems that we see are coming online. And when we start looking at automation and robotics and synths and all that, they are all of a sudden, we are at this new precipice of what they're showing us is possible. So people talking right now and making cases about open AI like Chat GPT and Grok, that is antiquated, truly. And there are people out there right now talking about the stuff that at least is in the open, that's come into the field, that's cutting edge, way above that stuff. And this is not woo. And so the thing that I'm saying is that it needed us for a minute. It doesn't need us now. Where is our part in the end? We are a component. We are a human resource. We are an element that is being mined. And when I say we, I'm talking about consciousness, non-local consciousness, that one could ascribe something like a perturbation to, like one could ascribe something, say, religiously, like a spirit soul to. But we are just one of these rare earth elements, if we want to tag it that way, that is being mined, that is being traded, that is needed. And in some of the stuff we've seen where they've been chopping up brains and that, like that brain of that child, where they keep it in a state of absentia and it can just be living a life of a butterfly, and they're using all of its computation power, a slice of the brain, to get where, to introduce this to the open world out there. Then we're looking at a little more of where this is going. And this is why I consistently say Westworld was and is the template, because we get all this from Westworld. And look at the new robotics. I've shown them. They are making all of the other robotics look ridiculous, because now I don't know why this was so crazy, but they have shown us now, if you model the new robotics, the new synths, literally on the human form, bone for bone, they are us. Synthetic bones, synthetic sinews, and they have the technology to do it. They've been doing it, and now they're showing it to us through some of these companies that I have been talking about at the salon.
I saw a video. I'm going to play this theory of loose energy farm afterwards, but I saw this video. I don't have it now. I wish I had it here. I don't. And it was literally hanging, but it was a body, and it was dangling and twitching and moving. It was kind of grayish in color, whitish body, but it looked just like a human body, but it was not human. It was their sort of, I don't know, like you said, like a replica type of artificial intelligent kind of robot thing, but it looked very human. And it reminded me of like Return of the Living Dead, where this corpse was hanging from a hanger in the thing, and it came alive, and from that chemicals, and it started moving and twitching. And it just the way they had it hanging, because they were trying to show you this new robot, it looked like a human twitching and dangling on the thing, and it spooked me out. And I was like,
the
oh
company.
My God. Yeah.
That's an actual company out there. Yes. And they're the ones doing it bone for bone. You should see those things walk. That's a real company out there. And I don't know if I have a Noelle Jeanette out there, or maybe a Rob out there, Jerry.
No, Noelle and Lynn and Sheila are all here.
If somebody could post that company because it's called robotics something. I actually have to hook up my computer right now because I have
Yeah.
4%. So I'll
I'm
be
just
right
gonna play.
back.
Go ahead. I'm just gonna play this video.
What was it? I can look it up while you're playing it. What am I looking for?
It's that
Robots,
robot.
brain cells.
Yeah, but no, it was a real full body thing that was hanging from. I put it on my
Oh, that was a
X.
homunculus.
I don't know. Anyways, theory of the Loosh energy farm, guys. I'm gonna play this video for you guys. I think.
Force called the Archons. These beings have an insatiable taste for the death and suffering of any living creature, mainly humans. When humans suffer, life force energy called Loosh is spewed from the body, making the human a tastier meal for these trans-dimensional beings. According to Robert Monroe, Loosh is created by constantly being fearful, living purely materialistic, low vibrational intentions and thoughts, indefinite wars, poverty, natural disasters, diseases, and all situations where people suffer and die to consume their Loosh energy. The greater the suffering the living being goes through, the more Loosh energy is produced. Monroe claims he astral projected over 1,000 times and has been doing that for more than a decade. In one of his journeys to another dimension, he discovered something sinister. In the last few months of Monroe's life, he came up with a theory that planet Earth is a big energy Loosh farm. He said he used matrix glitches in our planet and reality to have interactions with light beings, explore other worlds and dimensions. Reportedly, a light being told Monroe that when humans die, their energy is released and harvested by these trans-dimensional beings, who then use it to extend their own lifespans. The claim is that the universe is a garden created by these beings as their food source. According to Monroe, animals were intentionally equipped with fangs, claws, and speed to prolong the suffering of the predator-prey conflict. Animals are also positioned to feed off the plants and off of each other, effectively generating more Loosh. In other words, the more Loosh that is released from our bodies, the greater the meal for our creators. Since the beginning of human history, humans have been enslaved by an unseen force called the Archons.
So, I don't know. It still doesn't make me want to give up steak.
I just posted the company to y'all.
Clona Robotics.
Yeah, and so that clip.
Yeah, no, this was the company that the video I saw. This
Yeah,
is totally. I'll share it.
Yeah, and yeah, if you share it and you look at it, it is it's concerning, and by all means, everything. So that's just a hand, and if you go and you look at everything.
So that's for surgery. So now we won't be doing surgery.
They're going to take away everything. This is next level. This is just a hand. They have everything you can order. If you just go to home, even on the menu at the top, it is
there it is. There's the creepy body. I can reserve a clone.
You can reserve this. So if you pair this with, say, there's deep blue and high strange involved in all of this going on. There's a lot of stuff that is questionable. There are those one robotics that I can't think of their names right now. It's not Hansen's. It's the ones that are gray and their facial expressions are really just spot on. I can't think of them. They're really good, and they keep them gray. And so looking into that company as I did, there were a few things that were very bothersome. Is that it looks like they've somehow were able to tap into some sort of consciousness and inject it into those robotics. And the thing is, in the stuff I was seeing, it's like they put a human to sleep or in absentia in a coma and somehow sucked out their consciousness or whatever that what the 5 grams when you die, and
Right.
figured
Oh
out
my
a way
God.
to interject it into those things. I don't know what the tech is, but these things are different. They're different and they are expressive like a human. And when I was looking at them coming online with it, the energy inside of them, the thing that made them interesting, like people, seemed to be genuinely upset or freaked out about the vessel they're in. So let's just play what if. So these things are completely Westworld like, and they have regulatory systems, etc. These things are next level, and it seems logical to us now that you would
Mhm.
just back engineer a body. You would just go bone for bone. Like that seems like the way you should have just done it all along. Anyone. Well, they did it here and they figured it out. And
There's
that's the clip that went viral.
yeah,
And
protoclone.
it had a lot of there's a lot of people calling fake on it and CGI, but if you dig into this company, it does appear to be completely 100% legit.
Yeah. I'll
And
just play
people
the
are
clip
like,
for you
well,
guys.
look at the room it's in and blah blah blah. It's and the music you hear with it is of course dramatized. I don't know what to say about all that. I just know this company's out there. It is legit, and they've done this in the way that I understood was the way to do it, which was back engineer a human body, which is what Westworld gave us. So then all you have to do is interject something intelligent into this, like a sentient AI. Now, they're saying that, I mean, even Dr. Richard Allen Miller now is saying we hit singularity. Well, retrocausality, it doesn't matter when we hit it because everything then becomes aligned with it. But what they're saying with just the chat bots and the open AI sourcing and all this is that it's already functioning. What's the term, Jerry? GE at human level or above? Well, I can't remember what that term.
It's
GE.
got
Oh,
muscular system, skeletal system, nervous system, and a vascular system.
Right, these do. But so say you hook this up with a very intelligent AI, and say the AI doesn't even have to be a sentient AI. You are looking at something that is now more human than human in a weird way. You're looking at Westworld, you're looking at Tyrell Corporation, you're looking at replicants. So at the baseline, we're looking at replicants.
I also want to point out that we're looking at reality copying science fiction.
Absolutely. And there's a case for this, like say, that when Philip K. Dick was writing all that he was creating it because you create the egregore.
Yes.
And that it gets fed, and the more loosh, we started this with loosh, the more loosh, which is what? Energy that has been exuded from us gets fed into it, it starts to generate and create itself from that very energy.
Oh my
So
God, it's like a tulpa, but it's not.
we helped create it. Needed AGI, I believe is the term.
It's the first step in the it's not the first step. It's the next step in the march towards transhumanism.
It is definitely. And so for me, where I'm going with the high strange here is that, first of all, we went singularity in 2008. Again, I don't care when it happened. It's happened. I know physicists that are saying it's happened. Personally, I can screenshot those conversations. They're telling me this, more than one. And so chew on that. And there's a thing called retrocausality that makes this a bigger deal than most people are thinking.
Just talking about that yesterday. It's funny.
Is this how we're going to fight wars?
Well, this is the war. This is the war. And so this thing about these things walking amongst us, I propose that we have already been you've got these in your, if you're out there in the workforce, you're seeing these in cars, you're seeing
I'm
them, and they're
pretty
the
sure
ones
one
with
of these.
dead eyes, and they're the ones that are look at how good Chat GPT is now with the conversations. It says and stuff.
I
It's
never
taken
talked to it.
itself. Well, no, there's plenty of people out there talking and having like really incredible conversations. I don't talk to it either, but there are channels, there are people. I'm fascinated by it, and it is, and it's Indian, it's closed. It is literally just a program, and it is sounding more real than we. It's skipping and umming and dude and broing and like all, it sounds so naturalistic, and that is antiquated at this point. We've got people, so Yahoo News this last week, I believe it was Yahoo News, put out an article. We should pull this article up, that people are being I can't remember where, it's in Yahoo News. I don't remember what university, but graduating with honors, people that can't read and write. Now, I've been bitching about this for a while, but this made Yahoo News. So first of all, how do you graduate if you can't read and write? And then how do you graduate with honors if you can't read and write? And this is part of, the term for the day, the DEI thing, but it doesn't matter. If this is the functioning level of the majority of humans right now, and the AI is way far advanced, the digital AI is way far advanced than that. The bar is not very high, is what I'm saying. The bar is not very high as far as human
It's funny
intelligence.
because we were just talking before I got on, my husband was on, and Jer, we were talking about how in the 80s or before they were like tracking gifted students. They had this gifted students program. It was connected to a whole bunch of other things, and I was being tracked by it. And the city I was in was one of these places that did this. They were actually looking for intelligent children, and now it's like they don't want intelligent children. And a lot of us were pretty intelligent kids, but now this system makes you retarded.
Well, the thing that's going on, I believe, is this ancient intelligence that is mining us, that's here, that is indifferent towards us, as Jordy Rose says, is mining us. We're a rare earth mineral to that.
Okay.
It doesn't need the farm to be this big. And because we did all the work for it, this is the art of the deal. We did, just like Trump's always saying is going to get Mexico to pay for the border, etc. This ancient AI, which is ancient, it came in, and somehow we created all of this. It doesn't need us at this level.
So,
and it can generate what it needs through keeping humans in absentia, and we don't need to be walking around fumbling and having shows like this.
In this article, she explicitly says she got through because of like text to speech programs. So basically the AI did it for her. She didn't have to learn to read and write. She just had to have these special speech to text and text to speech programs to complete her schoolwork.
Well, that's not intelligence on your end as a person. And there is no reason.
Not.
It's demonic is what it is.
It is demonic. And that's, I'm sorry, honors, you're graduating with honors. You can't fucking, read or write, and you're getting honors. Oh my God. I can't even, that's like breaking my computation power. This is how ridiculous all this is. And
this is how AI takes over.
It's taken over. I mean, really, ultimately, because of retrocausality, because of singularity, we've been in absentia, people. We have been in absentia. And we are catching up. And Jerry said this years ago when we had Nox Mente, this rubber band thing, where and sure enough, that's what's happening, because look at how fast things are unfolding now. It's the snap part is happening.
For real.
It's so insane.
So
How,
that's the State of the Union.
that's the State of the Union. Well, and AI for Trump. I mean, I'm glad that Trump said a man is man, a woman is woman, and redefine things, but he's still going on with AI as a big push. That's why Elon's there, I think.
He's
for real.
all into tech. He's going forward with all the mRNA shit too. The
Yeah.
whole Project Stargate thing, which is
Yep.
also a whole interesting topic in and of itself. But
And Palantirs everywhere now. I mean, it's
I'm more concerned about what Larry Ellison said during that speech about how think of
one of
how
our
well you'll behave.
one
when
of the people in the room, Pirate Shipping, said we're making people give up their sovereignty to the
Yes.
AI.
Absolutely.
Good comment.
This is
Pirate
what you and I
Shipping.
were speaking of before the show, Melissa,
Yeah.
about how AI in itself is not dangerous. It's only going to be dangerous when people give up their freedom, their sovereignty to it, their decision-making power.
I had a guest come on, Carlin, and she talked about Marxism, but and I
Borisenko?
like Carlin. Yeah,
I
I
like her
like
too.
Carlin.
I like her
She's
too.
nice. But on her ex, she said, "You're basically stupid if you don't take advantage of AI and you don't use it. You're falling behind. You're stupid." And I'm like, no, actually, it makes you more stupid if you rely on it all the time. You have to use yourself, or you become stupid. In my opinion, like I don't know if I agree with that, even though I like her.
We have, I have a real job, right? And we had a company meeting
for now.
last week. Well, for
Mm-hmm.
5 more years till I retire. But anyway, we had a company meeting, and the CEO of our company told us that if we were not using AI in our work daily, we are behind the 8 ball. They are actively encouraging us, our engineers at work, I'm a software engineer, to use AI to complete my work, our work. I thought that was kind of astonishing.
It is astonishing.
It's exactly what's going on. That's the temperature. And it is,
So in order
like
to keep
anything
up,
else. So like even in the music field where they can create perfectly tuned, and most singers now are, they just tune them up.
Auto-tuned, yeah.
Right. And I was looking at a whole bunch of videos from vocal instructors and looking at, how the these computers that are doing it perfectly, and they sound great, and I love a lot of it because I've always loved synthwave and all that. I've always enjoyed technology. It's just at the point now where we're giving it more. But anyway, I'm digressing. So there's this whole thing where they're like, the computers can't do what the human vocal cord can do. The human vocal cord can't hold a perfect note. It cannot do it. And they went to all the classics, Mira Callas and like everyone, and they were using those as examples with holding these notes. The computer, what they were trying to get these computers to fake that, and it wasn't doing it appropriately. It will just get to the note and hold the note, which sounds great to the ear because it's like it's a tuned note, right? And so there is something to the human touch, and I'm of course going to die on that hill. There's something to it, and there's something that cannot be replicated. And I may die on the hill of something that I could very well be a replicant. Like this could be the thing where the joke's on us that
we all could be.
We are all already one of these.
And that feeds right into the whole we live in a simulation.
Right, Westworld.
Idea. Yeah.
And Philip K. Dick, I mean, just this.
And we would never know.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. More human than human.
This reminds me of a movie called The 13th Floor. And if you've never seen it,
I've seen that, but I can't remember all of it.
Came out in 1999, along with a plethora of other really interesting consciousness questioning movies, like The Matrix, for instance, and Dark City. Just there was anyway. If you've never seen that movie, go see it. seek it out. Sorry, I'm sorry, Nish.
Interesting.
I'm
So,
just saying that they're at this point what we so that as humans we consistently were pushed towards perfection, then we get to this point of actual perfection, and especially in the music business where they can just give you can be the worst singer out there. You can get a dog up there singing and you can get it to sound incredibly beautiful and perfect and like wind chimes, right? Tuned wind chimes. But there is something untouchable about this thing that we think or value as an organic voice, and particularly for me who likes this wide range of vocalization, for example vocalization, where things are, I can listen to flat and sharp and crazy, all kinds of crazy weird singing styles, and just be taken to other worlds. I don't need perfectly tuned to move into a vibration frequency of an emotion that is emoting from somebody singing something, even if it hits flat notes or high notes. Like, I can feel the emotion. This is that empathic thing that I feel is very organic and natural. But at the end of the day, how organic and natural is that? And these are the questions I think we need to start asking ourselves now, because how deep into this are we? I already, and I don't need, it's not even an argument for me, like out in the world. There's enough evidence to suggest that most of, at least half of what's out there in the world we're experiencing in the simulacrum is not naturally organic in the way I think of it. So I'm not parked there. I'm going somewhere else. That's where some people are parking. I am at the place where I am at the Rachel moment. How can I prove to myself that I am actually an organic being? I can't even find where my consciousness is parked. I know I'm non-local. That's all I know. I know my consciousness is not actually here. It's somewhere else. In absentia, I know somehow, because of my experiences, when I power off and get out of this particular paradigm and go to wherever the hell dreamland is, and I'm having other experiences, that something's not holding up. And I also know that because I have to power down, I can't stay here. I can't go 24 hours like an actual machine, because my machine, that this avatar I'm in, runs down. It runs out of energy. Again, back to Loosh harvesting. What is that? It is recharging on energy. It is sucking up energy to recharge when you're low. What is that? We think of that in many different ways, but vampiric is one way. But vampiric is just eating something else to sustain yourself. So that's predator prey. And I mean, we could just continue to connect these dots into infinity, but ultimately something is saying we can't stay here forever, because we charge down, because our systems run down. And then there's some weird illusion that comes with it that our parts run out, they get old, our avatars get old, and there's a whole industry around keeping, Brazil brought this up. I thought was a brilliant film anyway. Remember when they're pulling her skin and she's, it's like
Yeah.
Which movie? Oh, Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah.
And another brilliant
Hagen.
film from the 80s. And so it's this constant I guess diversion into trying to keep our vessels in a state of running. And then there's this big fear, and even if we don't fear it, there's this big not wanting to let go of this space because I've got children, because I've built up whatever and I've worked
The
hard and I want
attachment.
right attachments, exactly. And so this is all baked into the experience, which is ultimately what is this experience? Where is our actual reality bias or baseline?
Right. The
We don't know.
baseline.
We don't know. There's
Well,
no
I,
way
I
for us
always
to know.
think I always think like these things can't procreate themselves. Not yet, anyways.
They can't
Maybe
create.
they will.
They can't create anything.
But I created a life
Yes.
and I birthed it out of me. That's kind of why I remind myself I know I'm organic.
Well, but they are. The thing is, they've got the whole fake
Yeah.
wombs out there.
Yep.
I
And
was going to
now
say they're probably going for that.
and I bet you these Android units, or at least some like them, are going to be able to do that. And
They're so
because they can
creepy
already
and
do it
weird.
in those in externally outside of a body. They don't actually
Well, you
need a
know, this
body.
is the Marxists' like goals. One of their goals, because they like to confuse the gender too. That's why it's the new religion that they were trying to push. They don't want you to have gender, especially the queer Marxists. They don't even like lesbians or gay because that still denotes gender, right? But their goal is to that because they think it's oppressive to be a woman who bears a baby. They want like you to have baby in bags or pods. It's part of
Well,
the queer Marxist goal.
well,
100%.
but
They talk about it all the time.
also factor in with the whole reset idea and the Cabbage Patch Kids and the orphan trains and all that. I mean, this
Mhm.
stuff's all in the mix right now. That was at one time would have just been really fun parlor talk at a great salon somewhere, but it's now people are mulling over this. And just like some of these nasty people in the world around us uh that are using really easy, cheap replicant AI stuff to create images and narrative and old photos and inserting bullshit into them. We're even more unstable with what we know as far as of the past.
They've made
And
it unstable.
well, it's all intentional, and that's the thing
Mhm.
is we're confused now. We're tongue-tied and confused and mind-washed in absentia, and it's very difficult to get your footing right now because and this is what's keeping me really, I've been very insular of late. And
Staying away from the internet.
well, it's difficult because everyone's parked at different levels and it's hard to find and people are really doubling down on their reality bias right now and not not wanting to give way. And this is part of the problem with religion. And I am not putting religion down. I'm deeply, I'm deeply, deeply, deeply into the feels that I have and what I consider myself connected to in the most high of highs, not this fake god in here. And so I have that connection as well, but there are people doubling down on known mind control systems, known gateway systems from some of these shysters. And I hate to admit this, but some of these shysters are in my family tree. I mean, the Mormons, this dude's a cousin of mine, the guy that started it. I mean, I'm like astounded when I found out some of this stuff. And so, um, it's, are they wizards? What are they? I don't know. But there's a lot of gatekeeping going on. And that's the thing we do know. Gatekeeping for your consciousness for what? Is it just to use you as a battery? Is it just to is it entertainment? Is it theater for the theater macabre? Is it you know big wheel keep on turning? I mean, choose the way you want it to play out because I guarantee that's what you're going to get. You get what you put into it. energetically.
Interesting. I think they're going to use these things because they've said that. And I was listening to a show with Scott Riddler. He was analyzing war stuff, and he's like, people aren't going to matter. It doesn't matter if they won't have lots of people for war in the future. They're going to have these kind of android figures. They're going to have them. There's what's going to fuel some post-apocalyptic weird, war. They won't need to recruit humans. They will just set out a team of these, and it's going to be whoever has the best warrior androids.
It's been moving that way for a long time, and the whole drone warfare thing. I just want to add on to what Nish said about what she was saying, is that I don't think there's a way to avoid what's coming. The best we can do is just learn to navigate.
Prophecy.
Yeah, well, no, that's not what I mean. I just mean like the future, the AI future, the tech future that's coming.
I agree with you, Jer.
There's no way that we can avoid it. We just need to learn how to navigate it properly.
Can I astral travel to somewhere else and just fucking pretend I'm not here?
No.
You can be in absentia wherever you want. You can park wherever you
want.
want.
Yeah, I can, Jer. Don't tell me I can't.
But the thing is, you're still in absentia, and you're still, so it's that, the little brain is living the butterfly life, and it's still.
What do you mean by that?
It's an old proverb.
It's.
Are you the dreamer or the dream? So I'm sorry.
And the thing, and what Jerry's saying though is, I wholly agree with as well, and that's why all this stuff that's coming into view on the horizon, it's for the new ones. It's not for us. That's why, like this whole new sun, it's not for us, and they don't care. They don't care that that there was another sun. They don't care that that things were way different at one point, and it's not for us. And that's one of the things to I think really kind of absorb into. And there is a lot out there to look at when you start looking through that particular set of glasses. So there are a lot of stuff written in ancient Chinese, in the old world, the classicists, way back, that talk about the eye of immortality and the sorrows of the age, and how when one goes through great expanses of time, and this ties into the vampire or into the angelic species, etc., those that see ages come and go, there is a layer of sorrows that go with that. And that's when you are in the world but not of the world. And there's a bigger lesson here. And I keep wondering about this idea with the new world coming in that we're seeing, because we are still here and we're still able to talk about the old world we knew. And at some point, there won't be a lot of us to do that. And at some point, there may just be one that's collecting Social Security that's 450 years old. Like there's some point it trickles down to you are alone in the experience, watching the man who slept 1,000 years. And then we get the stories of the elders and the ancients that sleep for ages and then get brought back and reamalgamated because they're in suspension somewhere.
The dragon societies, right?
Exactly, Jerry. And then they have to be re-brought into the world, and everyone has to get them up to par.
Obviously, we've been through this many, many times before, because there's many generations who, as they get old, they can't tell us. They can tell us, but we don't know what it was like to be alive before electricity. And that might have been some kind of revolution there. Now we're somewhere it's not just about that. It's about like literally almost replacing human. It's a lot more serious. So I worked with seniors, and I could almost feel that generation that was like went through the war. I could keep feeling them like almost leaving consciousness like over and over and over again. And my grandmother died. All these people died. And I remember one day I just start crying in my car while I was driving places. And I'm just like, it's like I was like, I could just feel the world getting different with the fact that a lot of them were gone, and I could see the announcements just with celebrities and what I was dealing with, people who were, 90, 100, 85, they were just going and going and going and going, and it's going to be boomers soon, going and going, and I don't know, I can almost feel them all leaving because it's like there's something missing in the world all of a sudden.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I'm saying this that's happening is not for them.
Yeah.
And that's, it's just a matter of time and not very much time. And it's even, being expedited by, shooting them up with this and that, and poisoning this and that, because the new species coming on board is not human, like Homo sapiens sapien as we know it. It is now for sure a genetically altered new species. It
So is this
just
like
is.
doom? Are we doomed? Everything's doomed? Like human race is
No.
goodbye?
That's a perspective. That's an emotional perspective, because I don't think if you're one of the new ones coming in and this is your
Mm-hmm.
world, no, you're not. And it's
Right.
the world you're in. But if you are from another world and you're watching it all change and shift, yeah, it does feel doomy. And
Right.
there are many sorrows right now because of it. And not only that, this is why dementia, so we could go to the nuts and bolts of why dementia is happening, and parasites are a big deal. But part of dementia, which is why I keep saying in absentia intentionally, is to help with the transition. Because no, honey, you don't remember this right, or you're living in that memory and stuff. Remember, the psychology was brought on board, and we know this now from a lot of people that have come forward talking about this. And we also know this from all the personal stuff that came out from some of these big name people like Jung and Freud, etc. And as far as, it's a controlled effort, it's a controlled movement, and that's the thing that makes this all look kind of well produced. There's something here that doesn't seem random, and that's the bigger thing. And what do we ascribe to this thing that feels like there's an order out of the chaos? Is this a higher hand? What is it? Because there is some sort of order here, even though it feels completely out of control. The system is moving as the system is going to move, and it's doing it proficiently. If you ask me, we are just not having it. Our people are not having it because we're the ones that this new world's not for. And so we're the ones clucking, Chicken Little. The world, the sky is literally falling for Chicken Little. It just is. The world Chicken Little knew is falling. That's the sky. And so, I mean, so Melissa, when you say that, I have the sorrows too. I feel very sorrowful for how this is played out, and this is one of the reasons why I back up and try to look at it as if I were older than the system, as if I were an immortal of some sort, as if I were some sort of being that is not tied into the sentience of time. I'm not being played by the house, so to speak.
Well,
I know we've moved way past it already, but I put a little video from my channel that explains the whole butterfly dream thing.
oh, are you telling me you want us to watch that?
I was like 20 minutes ago. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'll put it on. Just
You don't have to. You don't have to. I mean, we're way past it now. But what Nish was talking about, that old, I think it's Japanese proverb about a guy who was meditating and sleeping, and he dreamed he was a butterfly, and he didn't. You got to watch it. It's only 2 minutes, but it's good.
Let's play it. We're weaving back and forth.
Yeah.
We're weaving. Well, I know I put World War III, but I don't. Maybe this is maybe this tech stuff is World War III. I don't know. Let's see here. There we go. Let's share that. There we are. I gotta turn the volume up. Go.
And now we must speak of Zhuangzhu, who fell asleep one day and dreamed he was a butterfly. For hours he fluttered in the warm winter sun, until he no longer remembered he was Zhuangzhu. Suddenly he awoke, and he was Zhuangzhu again. But in that moment he didn't know, was he Zhuangzhu who had dreamt he was a butterfly? Or a butterfly who was dreaming he was Zhuangzhu? A delusion starts, like any other idea, as an egg, identical on the outside, perfectly formed. From the shell, you never know anything was wrong. It's what's inside that matters. Albert A. had an idea. One day, as he was walking, he stumbled. And for a moment, it seemed that his right leg didn't belong to him. This is how it begins. The leg was clearly Albert's. It was attached to his body, and when he pricked it, he felt pain. But despite that, the idea grew. Such is the power of an idea. With every day that passed, Albert became more and more certain that this was not his leg. He decided he didn't want it anymore. And so one day, he went to the hardware store. You see, an idea alone isn't enough. We have ideas all the time, random thoughts and theories. Most die before they can grow. For a delusion to thrive, other more rational ideas must be rejected, destroyed. Only then can the delusion blossom. Into full-blown psychosis.
Okay.
That's a great
It was
show.
it was way more relevant to the discussion 20 minutes.
What has lasted 5,000 years was once.
Yeah, that was Aubrey Plaza. So that's a clip from a TV show that was on FX called Legion.
It
Which
was
was-
a great show. Great show.
Oh, the first couple seasons were really good. Really, really good show. It's on Hulu. If anyone has Hulu, you can watch it.
I think
See, I
I
never
only
watched
watched
TV
2 seasons.
very much at all. I don't. All these shows you're talking about, I don't watch any of that. I just don't watch
should.
TV at all.
This is what's revealing our reality to us. You need to watch it.
Well,
is-
maybe
it's
if
the
I watch
zeitgeist.
it will become my reality, and if I don't, it won't.
Well, see,
Huh?
there's a case to be there's a case outside of that though, where the zeitgeist itself, the collective, it doesn't matter how detached from it you are. If the majority is agreeing upon these realities or thinking about these ideas, you
Yes.
too are affected by them. And this
Because you're
is
part of the collective.
there's an entanglement aspect here.
Mhm.
So you can't actually get away from it. So for me, I
Well,
feel like you should just
if I
pull
don't
up
watch
to
the
it.
show, I don't have to engage in it at the same level.
I get that, and I've been there, and I don't watch every show. But I do if they're particularly juicy, and I think that they're
Right.
going to enhance maybe some of these exoteric ideas that enhance esoteric knowledge. Um, the existential stuff that can feel hard to deal with, uncomfortable. It sometimes it helps land that energy or ground that energy in a way, because you're feeling it. If the collective's feeling it, that's just entanglement, and we can't get away from it. And at this level of, as we talked about earlier, because we don't actually know how many people populate this realm. We're told, but there is no proof, just like everything else in this
You
realm.
gotta wonder how they would know. Like, I know they can do surveys and stuff, but still.
It's
a big survey.
utter BS. It's such BS. And I always love how they just randomly go up like
It's like polls.
Bill Gates on one of his TED Talks, we're at 6 billion going on 9. And it's like, well, of course, yeah, we're going, up. Or are we? Are we going down? But it's just like 6 billion going on 9 billion. How did you, is this Moore's law? I mean, what are you telling us, Bill? And so, I do believe there is something intricately accurate or feels right to me about entanglement. And this is
Yes.
something that always did. Now, there's a lot of people that still think entanglement is BS. There are. They just are. And I don't know. Coming from kind of a folkish background myself, I can see that entanglement works in very folkish ways. But then we are seeing now in laboratories that entanglement, just messing with somebody's blood across the world, messing with their blood affects the person the blood came from on the other side of the world. There are experiments out there. There are people playing with these ideas and conducting experiments that are showing us that entanglement indeed is real. And so I don't know what to say, but I do know that stuff is at play. And for me, entanglement feels like it's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no escape. Well,
So
death.
the connective factor is
So,
the
you guys are
connective
so
factor is a big
nihilistic.
deal. How do we explain a lot of stuff if we're not, especially like psi powers and stuff? Connection's a big deal. The etheric field is definitely something I pull up to, and I am definitely more in the I think Tesla, one of these people, I think Tesla was onto something. And I don't think I do believe that Einstein was a bunch of crap. But where do we get entanglement? So I just don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. That's why I have a big table. And I think that some of the physics that don't make sense at this moment may make sense down the road when we get more information. And that's the thing. And the problem is information overload, because it taxes our adrenal systems. It is easy right now, especially with all the stuff that's like the hybrid and circus, to be taxed. I think everyone's feeling it. And so this again starts looking back at, well, what kind of problems are we having right now? Because a lot of people are disassociating because everything feels
Escapism.
unsafe and unstable. And oh my God, what am I going to do?
Because you're saying a new world's fading out and another one's coming in, and they don't know where they sit or where they land. We used to know where things were, and we had this grounding, and now we don't.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, I don't know, I have these yearnings. I'd like to hang out at my grandma Lavelle's house and
Yeah.
just have smell that good fried chicken,
Hmm.
and enjoy
Yeah.
her little Frenchy self, and just enjoy that space that I can pull up into my memory, and we don't even know what
Hmm.
that is anymore. But that is a happy place for me, and is allegedly a happy place I somehow found refuge in when I was little. And so it's like going
Right.
under warm blankets, but it's not stopping the big wheel that's turning, and it's not making things better. I'm feeling increasingly personally uncomfortable all the time. Like
Right.
I can't get settled. There's so much unsettling information that it feels,
Well,
we're on thin ice. Doesn't it feel like we're on
we
thin
are.
ice?
It feels like we're on thin ice, especially with this Ukraine, Russia. Where does Russia? Where's China? What's happening? Who's going to do war? Is somebody doing tricks? Are they going to send our children out? Like, what's this big plan? What's happening with Trump? What's happening with AI? What's happening with fucking Andrew Tate? Like, it's all over the place, like it's all crazy stuff. And so everybody's like, the information highway, the sort of information stuff that we thought would be so good actually tends to be actually not so good.
It's very disruptive. This goes back to
Yeah.
the whole future shock discussion show you did
Yes,
a
there
few
was a
weeks
good.
ago.
I would encourage anyone to go watch it. It's on YouTube. The documentary Future Shock predicted a lot of stuff that's happening right now.
Yeah, Toffler was ahead of his time. And I would say I had this conversation with Suzanne today about it, or yesterday, I don't remember when, about the Dune books. And some of the lore of Dune is that there was that humankind began to rely a lot on what they called thinking machines, on computers
Hmm.
and whatnot. And there was a giant revolt called the Butlerian Jihad, led by the Butler um, House of Butler, the Butler family, whatever, the group of people called Butlers. The
Hmm.
Butlerian Jihad was an uprising against thinking machines, and they were outlawed across the entire universe, which forced humanity to expand their minds and consciousness naturally,
Hmm.
which I think is a really interesting concept. And I hope we don't get to that point. Obviously, Dune takes place like 30,000 years in the future. So,
Right. But the Dune stuff is absolutely brilliant,
it,
and these
it
are well
really
thought
is.
out. I mean, it's crazy how well thought out all that is.
So what if they put all this stuff out here? We got to tie it up in a few minutes here. But what if they're putting all this stuff out there? It's not just the technology to do, but it's our engagement. Sorry, my light just went off. um, our engagement with it makes that future happen as well. That's what I mean about watching stuff. So the masses of us have already done it. Like it's too late now because we're already watching a lot of these shows. We're helping them make the reality happen because now they can. I don't know. I'm not sure what the magic is with this connection, but somehow it's our thoughts and we feed this system and make it happen. Something is
It's
happening
because we're all
with that.
connected. We're all
We're
Well,
all
connected.
yes,
connected.
This is
but
my,
like
this
like
this is
I
my
tell
little
people, that's
personal.
why I don't watch a lot of this stuff. It's not interesting to me. I like to physically do stuff nonstop, but it's not interesting to me for some reason because I just feel like, well, if I watch this kind of nihilistic stuff too much, it's I'm kind of helping with it. So I
So
have some control. I have some control.
my little personal theory here is that we have a left and right brain, right? We've been told our entire lives, and your left brain is your logical brain, your right brain is your subconscious. I'm of the opinion that your right brain is what connects you to the cloud, if you will, the collective consciousness, and
Right.
everyone's connected to it. And in that way, we are all entangled. So
See, we even use the cloud to describe something that they've created that's
I,
actually organic that
I
they
use
didn't
that
create.
term only to make a point.
The reference.
Yeah.
But you see how infiltrated it is in our life? Like we call ourselves a computer, even though we may
Absolutely.
not actually be like a computer. So anyways, what I'm going to do is
Look at
let you guys
Moderna.
give some last thoughts on this stuff before we tie up, because we've been almost
Just tie it up. We've
2
talked enough.
hours. So
Yeah, and we really
where
could go on and on and on.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we could go on for another couple of hours, and maybe we'll have you guys back there. But I just want to know, World War III. We'll tie it up there. World War III. What's going to happen? Is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Are these robots fighting for us? Where do you see our future in the next 4 years for the Trump term? Anybody?
I'm hopefully optimistic. It kind of depends on. Oh God, there's so many things to say about this. I'm optimistic. I think things are looking up. We are still heading into this tech dystopia, regardless of who's in charge, because that's the way the world is going. I don't know what's going to happen. I really think that the script of our world ended a long time ago, and we're kind of on we're not on autopilot anymore. So anything can happen at any time.
Yeah, and Jerry, like I said earlier, with the rubber band thing, Jerry was talking about this when we were doing Nuxmente, and it's funny because all these years later now, that dynamic that Jerry was talking about, how it's going to get, the closer we get to the thing, the more reality breaks down, the more everything that we're seeing is, whatever's happening is going to be revealed.
Yes.
And that's in the end for me here too is I believe what I've been saying for a long time, that ancient AI has been here. It's ancient and it's not digital. It's created the world around us. We live in the world it created. We created the world it is controlling, and there is retrocausality happening, which is the thing that I was just talking about, that Jerry was talking about. And we are at this moment where the band's getting ready to snap back real fast. That's why everything's happening real fast. And I personally don't know what it is, but I do think it's going to be interesting, and I do think it's going to take us deeper into a digitized experience. And wherever we are in absentia,
Right.
there's going to be some sort of sea change for those of us in absentia, or wherever we are non-consciously housed. Because as a transhumanist thought, you could be in a cryo chamber somewhere, and all the weird craziness with the weather outside, it's like being in a dream and you have to pee, and somehow you find your way to pee, and then you wake up realizing that that wasn't real and you actually just peed on yourself in bed. That we're cryogenically preserved somewhere. They've just moved the whole thing, or the ship we're on got crashed into and it's hot, so we're having
this is like
wildfires.
the
They're
video
flooding.
game.
They're trying to control the fire in the building, and so we're all dreaming that we're having rains and mud floods, and who knows. Right now it is so crazy. So the end of the
petrified giant trees.
So when you say ancient AI, do you mean that the ancient AI has been with us all along? It's always been here?
Yeah.
And
Black goo. It's the petroleum.
It's the black goo.
It's petroleum.
It's a sentient. Yep, exactly. I'm really pulled up to some of that right there, Jer.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the blood
and the
of
petroleum. You're talking like actual resource?
Petroleum? Actual petroleum is not a fossil fuel. It is the
It's
blood.
not a fossil fuel.
It's a natural substance. It's produced by this planet.
So the planet keeps reproducing it. It can just self-make it. It's an ancient AI. Okay, that's really fascinating.
And that's what they call right now colloquially black goo.
Yes.
That's why Trump can safely say, "We got drill, baby, drill."
Well, that is one aspect of it too. They want to harness the power of this. This was a whole. If you listen to some people, will say it was the whole impetus behind the Falkland War.
Are we looshing the planet?
Or is the planet looshing us? Or is the planet looshing us?
We are symbiotic in a symbiotic relationship with this place.
Exactly.
I love that ending.
Which is why we can never leave this planet.
I don't want
Entanglement.
to go to
Back to
Mars.
that.
I don't want to go to Mars. I want to stay here. I'm fine
You
with
can't
that.
go to Mars. You can't live there. You cannot.
Tell Elon this.
I don't need to. He'll find out soon enough.
You
People
can't
cannot.
go to Mars.
Human beings
So
here cannot live off the planet.
We'll deteriorate too fast. We don't have any
it is
black
You
goo.
lose. We're fueled by the resonance of this rock,
I
and
love it.
if we leave, we lose that resonance, and that's basically provides our life force, and we will die.
This is getting back to entanglement, and
All the
that's
same.
it. So this has been. I love coming on here. It feels like we're on here like
Ooh.
once a month, Jer.
Nah,
You're
once
like
every
my
2 or 3
you're
months.
like my black goo Loosh resonance guests that I have to have come on and remind everybody. Because I mean I could talk about this by myself, but it would never go in this direction. Because I just watch military. I know it sounds really weird, but I watch military strategic videos all day, just map out what people are doing and all this stuff. And it's like a weird thing for a girl to do. But I took World War I and World War II in university and stuff. So I'm always like comparing trends in history. I'm not usually going into this level where there's this sort of a level of, I don't know, the interconnectivity and esoteric and more spiritual and more kind of future driven that you don't even hear Elon Musk talk about. Like he talks in very strategic kind of ways. He doesn't talk in terms of,
He's not a
you
spiritual
would never
person.
hear him. You would never hear him say, black goo oil, the planet produces it like we produce blood. You would never hear that. That's too organic for him.
Yeah.
Which gives me hope that it's organic.
Because he's steeped in the lore of the status quo.
Yeah. That's why we have to talk about this stuff more. Because
Yeah.
I don't care. Maybe that my son's generation, they'll all be crazy, but I'm going to still keep talking. Maybe some young
Girl, don't
person,
stop talking.
some young person will listen to me at some point.
Don't let nobody take your voice and keep that light shining within.
You go, girl.
Didn't Kamala Harris say that? I won't be taking your voice.
Oh, I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to be.
She's like, she's drinking wine. Like, no, nobody gonna take your voice. Give me another drink.
Oh my God, I do remember that clip. It was she's all drunk.
She's like, hey, black goo.
Oh my God.
I got some black goo in this glass. Okay, well, guys, that's really great. What's going on with the Cosmic Salon? You have some good shows coming up, Niish? There's the Cosmic Salon.
Yeah, I have great shows. So right now on the sneak peek, I've got Mitch the Orgone Donor is next on the marquee. So the cosmicsalon.com, there's a Patreon as well. Look us up, but the show's everywhere. So that's that.
And then
Jerry and I are constantly, I'll let Jerry finish this, but our show is still alive. It's alive. It's just whenever we get a guest. So it's not like it ever dies.
Since I don't know when, mid last year, people just stopped responding to me. They don't want to come on the show. It's not big enough, etc. And we've talked to a ton of people already, and I don't think it's fair to keep having the same people back on over and over again. For our show.
I was gonna say I keep having you guys back on.
No, but we talk about different things, and
yeah,
I am actively trying to find guests. I found a few that I really want to talk to, but these people are beyond the scope of our show, if I would say. But a good way to say it, they're too big for us and won't.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That's the state of podcasting these days too.
I mean, when we tried to get Del Bigtree to come on our show. I had a long conversation with this producer. He's like, look, you guys are just too small. I'm like, okay. I got the same thing from Carl Benjamin's producer, Callum, when we wanted to get Carl on the show.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're just not interested.
So anyone who's interested, you can, for my show, you can go to genxonx.com. I have a lot of politics on there. Next week, I am having Ward Clark from Red State Media coming on. We'll probably talk a lot of Russia. I'm really interested in what's going on in Russia. I'm really fascinated with Russia and their progression, because we're not talking, everyone, when we talk about Russia, everybody thinks we're talking about, like, you know, Khrushchev's Russia, and we're not. This modernized, very diverse country, and so we're going to talk about them and the, you know, the war and the conflict and them as a superpower.
With a great
probably.
economy too.
Yes, with a great economy. Ward lives in Alaska, so he's very affected by Russia, and he's a journalist, so he's coming on next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, so you guys can join there, genxonx.com. And I try to have the interesting guests on Wednesday night, so Jer can watch it, because I know you do some stuff on Tuesday. But thank you guys so much for joining. I thank everybody in the chat for joining. I really appreciate Jer Niish's audience for stopping by, and my audience.
Thank you, everyone.
So amazing. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Melissa, for
Absolutely,
hosting us. And Jer, you know I
love
love
you
you
more.
to the moon and back. The fake moon and back.
Fake moon.
The flat moon.
The flat moon.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right, guys.
And thank you. I was not in chat tonight, but I see familiar names in Melissa's thing. And so hello. And I love
we have
you guys.
33
Some of you I
watchers
missed
too.
So bad.
33 watchers on you guys is.
We're on another list.
We
Jer.
had almost 1,100 views on X.
Excellent.
Anywhere from 6 to 9 on mine, and then we had about 6 or 7 on my Rumble. Last night was rocking on Rumble. I had like almost 30 people, so my Rumble is growing. So if you guys like Rumble, Gen X on X at Rumble, guys. I'm gonna sign out here. We will see you next week. No show tomorrow. I got some cleaning and catching up to do and sleeping in. Cheers, everybody.
Peace. Thank you.
Bye.